like I said, Nicholas Singleton, getting him into space, getting him outside of the numbers. That was key. But the running game, it certainly helps the passing game. The things can balance each other out. It's the yin and the yang, right? When your running attack is there, you're going to have performances like that Drew Allar has, where no turnovers, absolutely efficient, close to 300 yards, and firing deep passes down the field, not just coordinated long, deep shots down the field in this game. Now, Drew Allar, excellent, like I said, an excellent day here. 17 of 26, 292 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. And we also talked about how Bo Prabula would get involved as well. I didn't think this would be an even split of carries or I guess snaps played in the quarterback's case, but Bo Prabula had a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. They got creative. James Franklin said in the post-game press conference when interviewing with the local media, saying that, yeah, we actually wanted to run more of those Bo Prabula type of plays and split up the quarterback duties just a little bit. I wish they could have, because you found a lot of success in this case. And no, Bo Prabula didn't exactly light up the stat sheet, but when they needed some short yards, when they needed a guaranteed, hey, this is going to get us where we need to go in a tight space, that's exactly what they did. The trickery, the having Aller and Prabula, not all the time, right? This isn't something that you run constantly. Half of the game, you run it in select spots where you know it's going to catch the defense off guard. And look at the play where they threw it to Tyler Warren and they scored. Bo Prabula on the option keeper, perfect, easy read. He held the defender, because all week Michigan State's saying, well, Bo Prabula can't pass. He doesn't pass. He completed one pass. So if he's going to keep it on an option read, you take the quarterback, let the running back go into the teeth of the defense, and then you stay home and wait for Bo Prabula to run it outside. Well, the offensive coordinators knew just that and snuck Tyler Warren out to the flat, and Bo Prabula just drops it in right over him. So very, very good play designs to go along with the play calling. Singleton and Katron Allen, what could you say about them? Because they looked like themselves. I mean, Katron Allen averaging 9 yards a carry. Nicholas Singleton, not quite that mark, but 6.6. Both of them going over 100 yards. That is the first time since 2019. Penn State did this against Rutgers that season, but Penn State had 2 100-yard rushers in the same game for the first time in 4 years. A good feat to have. Trey Potts, and then that was something else that we discussed. Where's Trey Potts? When can we see more of Trey Potts? This was someone who could have started at Minnesota, but decided to transfer and come play closer to home. And he had, well, 2 carries, but averaging 16 and a half yards per carry, I might say. So all the running backs look good, and I'm glad that they could get both Singleton and Allen over 100 yards. And then I've already brought up the wide receivers, but Singleton, Omari Evans, Johnson, Cephas, Warren, right? I'm reading the list here off of the box score. Dinkins caught a pass. Trey Potts caught a pass. Malik Mega caught a pass. Oh, there were so many players that were targeted in the passing game, whereas it was condensed for a good part of the season where not a lot of names got involved. But this time it seemed like if you didn't catch a pass, you were doing something wrong today. So the passing game evolved a little bit in this case. The deep shot, where Omari Evans, we know that he wasn't exactly 100%, or just at least that's from what we gathered since he showed up on some of those injury reports. And then for him to, he's one of the fastest players on the team. He got behind the defense, and Drew Allar effortlessly throws him the football for that 60-yard pass. And I hate that down. If you hit the turf, you're automatically down in college football, because he should have rolled into the end zone since he was untouched by Michigan State's defense. But 3 defenders chasing him, and Drew Allar hitting him in stride. There are very few college quarterbacks that can do that. We know the potential of Drew Allar, and he reminded us that, yeah, I can just throw it deep pretty seamlessly and hit him in stride. Evans didn't have to wait for the football or adjust his route. Drew Allar dropped it right in the breadbasket. But, I mean, there was a lot to Singleton also being your leading receiver. I thought that was kind of ironic, since see what you can do when you just simply get him the football in space. Stop trying to force him in between the tackles when he has all the speed, all the athleticism to be able to create on his own. He is so good at creating on his own. Why do that? Again, it's not all of Mike Yursic's fault. It's not, because all of those guys collaborate. Franklin, Yursich, Sider, Howe. I feel like the training wheels were more or less taken off of this offense here, but still, I mean, Yursich was calling plays. Mike Yursich was calling plays. So something you've noticed that there was a change. And do remember this. I don't want to point the finger strictly at Mike Yursich, but he also was calling a lot of good games against weaker caliber opponents too. Remember, there was the stretch of 30 plus points games, 13 in a row, where Penn State had put up 30 plus points against opponents. But in the games that they had lost, they were averaging just 12 points a game. And that was telling. You weren't winning the big game. But it certainly wasn't the defense. It was all the offense, because this defense is elite, playoff caliber, top 5 in every category that you can think of. Secondary's taken a little bit of a step back. We've addressed that on the show. At 7 sacks, you held this Michigan State team to negative 35 rushing yards. Negative 35. Now, if you account for, now that's because college football factors in sacking the quarterback. So all that negative yardage counts in. But if you take that away, the true statistic, 13 yards rushing from the running backs, and a couple of fake jet sweeps that Michigan State tried to do. They had no success anywhere, but 13 yards on design run plays by the Spartans. Penn State has a top 3 run defense this year, and that's where Manny Diaz was so good as a coordinator, because last season Penn State secondary was great. Yes, they were. The pass defense was great. The pass rush was great. But the run defense, not so good. They're not, and they took a lot of criticism. They said this was going to be one of the biggest question marks going into the season. And Penn State responded with one of the biggest statements in their adjustments, and kudos to Manny Diaz. If he's looking for a head coaching job actively, or when he does, right, I want to manifest that he stays in Happy Valley for at least another season, 2, 3, 10. Uh, but Manny Diaz can look and say, hey, this run defense in 2022 was okay. Look what I turned it into in an off season. That's all he needs to show on his resume. Of course, it helps when you have guys like Chop Robinson and Adisa Isaac playing on that defensive line. That the dynamic duo of the two of them, and there's all the guys on defense. Devon Ellie's got better. Deni Dennis Sutton played strongly this season. All of the linebackers, Curtis Jacobs, Abdul Carter. I could name everybody on this defense and say how they contributed in the run defense. But Robinson and Isaac, the two guys being able to reset the line of scrimmage, set the edge every time they're on defense. Those two are going to be missed severely next season. And I'm not saying you can't replace them. You can only adapt to what they gave you. Chop Robinson should be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I will keep saying that. I will keep hammering that drum, because it is true. And hopefully NFL scouts see it that way. And Adisa Isaac had the best game statistically on defense. He did. And I would argue that he's a guaranteed day 2 pick. He's recovered from that injury very well. Adisa Isaac, 7 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, a sack in the game. He's got to be a second round pick at no later than a third round in this case. Abdul Carter, flying all over the football field, had a sack. Injured, left the game, did not return. Just kind of hung out on the sideline with his helmet off. Concussion. Some people said a wrist injury. He was grabbing his wrist on the sideline. I didn't exactly get a good look as to what happened, but he went into the medical tent and didn't play. Hopefully he's okay. It's at the end of the season. There's plenty of time to rest, at least a month if they're going to go to, right, the Peach Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, any of them. They're going to a New Year's Six Bowl. But if it's the Peach Bowl, it's a month and some change for him to heal up. I like the way that Manny Diaz did not mess around. He was still sending blitzes in the fourth quarter to give Michigan State headaches. The killer instinct, the ability to not take it for granted and close out the opponent no matter what the situation. This defense, like I said, had everything going for it, and that's why it's a shame. It almost feels wasted in 2023. Backups get quality playing time. Keon Wiley, and I know he's not Abdul Carter, but when he's in Abdul Carter's spot, doesn't look too bad. really doesn't look that bad. Jameel Lyons, Tony Rojas, there are some young players that maybe not even next season, but the year after, when some of those other guys continue to go to the NFL, continue to graduate, Penn State's defense, depending on who's leading it, might not miss that much of a beat.